Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds, and we got a good show tonight. I've been looking forward to this show since we got it advertised. And we've got the caretaker, Rick Bunn of the Ura Shrine here with us, and Aaron from Tennessee Shadow Chasers that manages the events there at the Ura Shrine. And we're not going to keep them waiting backstage for too long. Without further ado, we're going to bring them on. Hey guys, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. So, tell my audience a little bit about yourselves, the ones that aren't familiar with the shrine and your paranormal stuff.
Well, if you want me to go first, basically, it's in Bristol, Tennessee. I'm a native of here, grew up about 5 miles from this piece of property. The shrine itself was owned by my grandfather, who built it. He didn't build it as a shrine, but built the house and a few things. And it kind of passed through the generations. My father bought it when the other uncles didn't want it. And then I moved back. I moved out of state for my law enforcement career many years ago, and then came back about 20 years ago. I bought the property and then started fixing it up. And basically, it's been here in a similar form for about a little over 20 years now since I've been back in Bristol. But it's had the outward form of more of a formal shrine appearance. In other words, when people would look at it from the outside, since about 15 years ago.
Awesome.
Yep.
And let's see, Aaron.
And I'm from the Tennessee Shadow Chasers. I'm one of the co-founders, and we're honored to be the ambassadors, me and the team, of the shrine. So we're helping bring people in to investigate and help answer any questions that we can during their investigations.
Yeah. So essentially what happens here is because of the type of place it is, the shrines and the practices that are done here, it does seem to have more of a paranormal activity than a standard house would have. Now, it does have one difference, and Aaron and Dee and all them that are with the Shadow Chasers would know, is that it's not a place that was something. I guess the difference here is, you have asylums that were an asylum, a hospital that was a hospital that, is now no longer, it's empty and vacant. So you're investigating places that were something, battlefields, what have you. This is actually an ongoing practice shrine. We had today the Appalachian Seance Society was here less than an hour ago with about 20 people doing a seance. And then there's different people that come on. So actually, there's things going on here daily, weekly, monthly. The full moons, the blood moon ritual was done a couple, 3 days ago, I believe, when it was. So yeah, this is a place that is actually an active alternate place for people to practice their religion or practices. That's actually going on now. So it's not an empty place, not yet, anyway.
Right. And it's judgment free. You don't get judged.
Oh yeah, we have practitioners here for everything. Now I am a martial artist since age 12, very traditional martial art, and was put into that because I was a little bit of a troubled kid. I guess you'll call them ADHD now. So to calm me down, I have a family that had a very prominent military career, all of them, and so they put me in with a guy traditionally that started teaching me martial arts, trained me down. So that's how I acculturated into the Shinto aspect. I'm basically a practicing Shintoist myself, which is not a religion. And I'm not trying to speak for any practicing Shintos out there. Right. I'm American, but it's not a religion. It's just a practice. And because that is open and welcome, we have people that are here that are Wiccan, that are Druid, Nordics, necromancy. I mean, just about everybody that you can imagine that's in the area that does not have a normal place to go, like a church or something like that. Then this place is kind of open. It wasn't initially. It just kind of happened that way as people come by. We had some Wiccan weddings and a few things here that could not. This is Appalachia, so it's very, I want to say strict or small, but there's not as much of an opportunity for an alternate practicing craft, whatever that may be, to have a place to go. And so people started coming in, and it really, I guess, over the past just couple, 2 or 3 years, mostly during COVID, when COVID hit here, 4 or 5 years ago, it was a place that everybody was coming to because it was kind of secretive. And you remember COVID, you weren't supposed to be able to put more than 10 people together. Well, this place was packed with people who would show up every Wednesday night or something, just because everything else was closed. So it's kind of took off since then.
Right. Now, with the paranormal activity, did it just like pick up with all like the different energies of people coming in and out of the shrine, or?
Oh, well, I'm sure there's been, because we've had practitioners here from necromancy, necromancers that summon stuff, and being an open place, we don't judge. There's been everything from I guess the word that is the trigger word for most people is the people who practice any type of a satanic ritual thing. And there have been those people here, and kind of just recently, as a matter of fact, I come to find out, except the thing is they're not, the idea of what Satanists are, it's not what everybody perceives satanic people, basically hedonists. But everybody comes here and practices, and they do the rituals. Now, the place itself has, when I purchased the property, it was very run down. It was just beat up. And when I started fixing it up and remodeling it, things went pretty crazy here. In other words, now being in an Onmyoji, which is a particular sect of Japanese magic, for less than a term, I've been doing that since '85. And so I was aware of this kind of thing going on and wasn't alarmed by it or presence of spirits or kami, as we would call them, or anything else. But I don't have the gifts to be able to see stuff like some people do. I'm not an empath, and there's a reason for that, and we may get into that in a little bit, but I don't have that ability. So when I was here, things started becoming rather paranormally active, not necessarily like poltergeist active, but it was pretty bad. And so I started calling teams to come in. This was back in 2005. And back then it was paranormal boom. You could go anywhere and find 100 teams on, Craigslist even. And quite a few people started coming by, and about the first 2 or 3 or 4 literally ran out of here. It was not happening. And I finally found some teams that were a bit more open to the idea of not coming in and worrying that there might be a darker presence here.
Right.
And when they were okay with that, then we could start getting some answers as to what was going on and go about fixing it. So for the past 15 years, 20 years now, I've been balancing things, which is what an Onmyoji does. And the shrine has grown exponentially to what it is now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people want to come now. And so, with the help of shadow chasers and some, they vet people. This is definitely not a place for weekend investigators. If you walked into an old house in a field, and I use this analogy, and you saw a pentagram painted on the floor and on the wall, most people would be out of there instantly and say, this is devil, this and that. Well, this place is so far past that it's not even, I'm not saying that it's evil. It's just the practices are done here by people who take their crafts very seriously, right. And they respect each other. So different. There's been everybody here.
Right. Yeah. And with all that stuff going on, you definitely don't want somebody that's green to the field being in there.
Oh yeah, no, they wouldn't be able to handle it. We have people even now. Aaron has have them. The shrine, and I guess just get this out of the way, is over the process of the past 20 years. And I'm going to butcher the word because I'm from Tennessee here, so I speak Tennessee Japanese. But so somebody said said that totally wrong. But it was a few years back by people, and more than just one person. There's been several people here that have gifts, obvious gifts, like yourself and other people that have gifts. You just know the fact that magic's real. Everybody's going, you see the real stuff.
Yep.
And I'm amazed by that all the time. And they kept coming in, they go, the shrine is actually self-aware. And that's a thing in Japan, is a place can become self-aware. The place, not necessarily the things in it, but the place itself. And that's called in here, I'll butcher, it's called Chukwuishke. And where it got really different is many years ago, there was an incident here, and it's happened a couple times in various degrees, of when the shrine defended itself. And that's called Chukwuhogo. And most people believe, as well as I do, that the shrine, you don't really have to worry so much. I mean, Aaron and them will tell you, Dee and Audra and all those, they'll tell you in a minute. And any of the other people, Jimmy that's been here, and Matt and all these others that have been here, is shrine kind of takes care of itself. If you're not supposed to be here, you won't make it here. You just won't.
Right.
I've seen that with my own eyes.
Yeah. And people who are not supposed to be here because they have some less than honorable intentions when they come in, become kind of ill and go out and sit in the car outside the courtyard. They don't stay. So it's an interesting place.
Right. And with that place, you got to be very respectful when you walk into what you're dealing with there, being how strong it is, and a lot of different energies bouncing around in that place.
Oh yeah, you can call whatever you want here. Essentially, the term Ura, it's a martial arts term. The Shintoism I practice, Shinto is not a religion. It's a practice. Everything is different. It's you cannot lump one thing into everything. So, like Shinto is the basic religion of Japan, but it's totally different. If you're a fisherman, your kami that you would pay respects to is the ocean and the waves and what have you. If you're a farmer, it would be to the rain and the rice people in the land. So everybody's got a different, much like the Native American kind of thing. Well, with mine being the martial arts background is how I was in, it is a particular form of Shintoism that is pretty much exclusive to martial artists in very traditional Kodo Budo. And so totally different from what even 95% of the Japanese people would do. And because of that, it's very dark. It's very open. It's not like you're looking for sunshine. In the Kodo or different martial arts, basically that's life and death and fighting and surviving. And so it's carnage and, so the kami or the spirits that would be in a Ura Shrine is going to be more martial, more darker. They're not lighter things. They're warriors. And Ura means secret. It's basically, there's a thing called Omote, Ura, and Hanto, and I'm not going to do a lot of Japanese stuff, but Omote means what you see, Ura means what you don't see, but what is, and Hanto means what really is. So people who come to the Ura Shrine see something, and they immediately have an interpretation that is objective like anybody else would have. This is the place, there's pentagrams, so it's very dark, or there's, I even have, like, they'll say there's the big giant food dogs in the front. People come in and may think it's a Benihana's restaurant. I mean, you just never know what people's going to drive by and see. But the bottom line is the Ura part of it is the secret. So the Ura Shrine, by definition, means it is a place with secrets. Not secrets like nobody knows it, because people like yourselves that are in this world, we'll just say that, we know stuff that, although it's not secret, it's still not what everybody else would know. And everybody else would look at a TV show or something you and your family might do, Russell, and go, well, that's what I'm seeing. But, on the backside of it, you go, there's a whole lot more of it than just what you're seeing on the camera, right? Yep. So it's the same way. So the Ura Shrine has a lot of backside stuff that people just wouldn't come in and see. And I think that's where the interest is when people are coming here, is they're going, well, I'm Celtic and I'm a Druid. Now, I don't know anything about Celtics or Druids. People here practice various forms of witchcraft, or what we call them in Appalachian here is a kitchen witch. People who make herbs and what has, and they can call them kitchen witches before there were pharmacies everywhere. Just big Appalachian. And plus, this is all Native American territory all up through here with the Appalachian Mountains. And so we have a lot of that kind of stuff going on. It's totally different than what you would normally see. But everybody, as Audra and all them would know, Aaron and them, is everybody gets along with everybody. That's it. You pay respect. And you don't look and say mine's better than yours better than mine. Everybody just does their own thing. So yeah, it's pretty amped up around here most of the time.
Yeah.
I can imagine too, like with your artifacts that everybody brings you to, they're bringing whatever's energies attached to that stuff too. So that's being part of the shrine.
Well, the story on how all of this stuff, and let me see, like all of these things back in here, mask, how that initially happened, and doing it in a quick way. Aaron then told me I can't make a long story. It's like in Japan, there's even to this day, there's a lot of elderly people in Japan who pass on without having family or something close by. They live by themselves. And so when this happens and neighbors find out, they have teams in Japan that go in and clean out the home and what have you and take all the stuff. Well, the Japanese people, and once again, I can't speak for anybody other than myself, but the consensus is that they're not a particularly religious people, but they are extremely superstitious. And so things that people have, and you would understand this being in the paranormal field, is stuff like hairbrushes, handheld mirrors, particular dolls, things that people that was very near and dear to them. When you go in, a couch may not be something that would be attached to, but
Right.
when these teams would go into Japan and clean out the homes, things that they perceived to be very valuable to the people that expired were boxed up, treated very professionally, and then they were taken to the local Shinto shrine, the closest one to where they lived, and they were given to the priest there, whoever the priest and whatever type of shrine it was. The priest then would cleanse the objects ritually, wash them, bathe them, whatever that particular sect of Shintoism did, clear it, and then they would basically usually ritually burn them or dispose of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an ongoing thing even to this day. They take it to the shrine and they put
Right.
and it's gone. Well, about 20 years ago, well, even before then, because I am a Shintoist and an Amuji and practice this, I've had many martial arts academies and schools that have people would bring stuff that made them nervous, and they'd say, "Will you take this?" Well, I'm not a Shinto priest in that respect. I do have a title that's exclusive to our sect, but I would take them, of course, but I never threw anything away. That's where the disconnect was, is I never burned anything. So all of these things that people keep bringing in, I just keep collecting. And most people would say that that's like causing an imbalance with all of these different energies. But like you say, you have people in your family that have museums, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when you go into one of those museums, you got all of these energies that are, some stuff has to be kept away from other things here. I'm sure it does at your place too, right?
Oh yeah, like Annabelle's got to be kept in a separate case away from the shadow doll, the fire doll, and all that.
Well, yeah, you let them get together and they start acting up like
Yep.
second graders or something. Yeah. So there's the upstairs part of the shrine. Now here's all these different things, like some of these masks, and how most of them come here from what I've found is that you will have people who have been world travelers and collectors. They travel overseas. It'd be by the military or they're just love to travel, and they will buy these artifacts, take back to their house, and then all of a sudden they pass away. And the younger generation relatives come in and go, "Hey, we're going to have to get rid of the estate," but certain things kind of wig them out. Like people go, "You don't want to throw away a Ouija board; it'll cause you bad luck or something." So essentially, what started happening, and that's how these masks come about, was a couple particular people that, and they're authentic as best we can tell from people, come from Indonesia and a few things, and they that's how they come here. And Jimmy, you mentioned, he's always dropping off stuff here and there that he comes by and that kind of stuff. So that's how it ends up. And there are hundreds and hundreds. And just like in your family's museum and a few things, you have to move stuff around because they start acting up. Some stuff like cats and dogs. You just don't put them close together, or you're going to have to deal with that energy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wade's in there constantly putting them back to sleep. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And we have a couple things here. We have a very old mini coffin that's a Taoist thing, and it's kind of our containment box. Anything that's acting up that's small enough to fit in. It's about the size of a mailbox, and if we can put something in there, Matthew and some of the other people here, Swords, you had him on your show last week. They brought in some stuff, him, his wife, and some of the other people that was relics, it would just say, from various practitioner that it was causing some trouble, direct, indirect. So we put that in there, and it seems to have calmed it down. So yeah, we have that the same way. You just put them to sleep, so, just like you say.
You ground them. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We picked up some haunted dolls from a lady's house that was terrorizing a blind lady, and they had demonic entities attached to them, and we took them to a Paracon, and we had them out on the table where there was a team sitting across from us. They turned on their equipment, and that one doll kept saying, "He lied, murder him, hit him with a shovel."
Jeez. Well.
And then we did an Estes method with her, and she made a whole room go dark.
Wow.
So what'd you do with them? Did you put them in the museum, or are they at your house there in the back behind you or something?
They're in the Warrens Occult Museum, locked away.
Yeah. Yeah. Some things just have, and the difference, I guess, from here in most places is a lot of practitioners, or we'll just say paranormal followers, believe that you should like exercise things out or bless them or do this or that. Actually, in the Omyodo and the Jaho magic of Japan and here, we just let it be itself. That's where most people get a little bit, because if it appears to be a darker entity that is in this doll, we don't try to train it up. Basically, I guess my position here is I'm basically like an arbitrator. Now, some people, you can come in here and say all of the, for lack of a better term, demons need to leave. It's not going to work here because they're invited in, and everything here plays together, just like all of our people that come here on the living side, of us that are breathing and cell, they basically all get along. Well, there's a position like mine on the other side, the non-living, and all the non-living entities that are invited here, they get along well, or they got to leave the shrine. Now, so there could be light, dark, good, bad, however you call them. That's more of a human trait, but everything here is different. And so they all kind of play together. So we don't try to ever, like there's dolls over here and all kinds of things there that we consider to be darker items like you have in your museum. But and I'm sure you guys probably don't try to exercise out, as you would say, probably not. It wouldn't work anyway, I don't think.
No, they basically just have priests come in, bless the museum just to keep them at bay.
Yep. You respect them. You respect their power, and you honor them. I don't mean you don't worship them by anything. That's actually the idea of worshiping something like that is not an Asian thing. It's actually considered very disrespectful to worship something. You merely respect it. You respect its power, just like a lion. If you saw a lion sitting in the jungle, you respect the fact that if he wanted to jump out and grab you, you could. You don't worship him like the king sort of thing. So yeah, it's similar. So yeah, and this is a small place. I can't imagine the energy that would be at your museum there, because some of those artifacts are epic. And whoa, yeah. Keep it in. You say put them to sleep. You got to have some kind of a ritual thing that somebody does to keep them at bay. Because, and you're not, that would be the Ura part of your museum. There's got to be some behind the scenes things that you have to do to appease these artifacts that most people would say that's not cool. But yeah, these things are powerful. Magic is real. I mean, people can say, no, it's not. It absolutely is real. A whole different discussion. But these artifacts are, well, you're the first person I've ever had a podcast, and I do these very, very rare. You've been on the inside, so you know what transpires in that place after everybody comes in and goes out.
And they take them cross country. Like they're going to be at a Paracon this year with the museum. Annabelle's making an appearance in October at the Rock Island Paracon.
Yeah, see, now that kind of even blows my mind because there are things here. The shrine itself, because as I mentioned before, it's self-aware and self-protecting. It's kind of like a bubble here. So all of these, I've got artifacts that have come in here, have never left in years and years and years. The idea of putting them in a car and taking them down the road, that's trippy to me. That takes some straight up gangster type protection to do that.
Yeah, they're traveling with Father Bob Bailey, who was on Paranormal State.
Yeah.
He's traveling with them there because of Annabelle going out on the road. Usually they don't take Annabelle out. They'll take her to a local paracon, but this year they decided to take her cross country. So
Wow.
Well, if you ever want to come this way and bring her to the shrine, we'll let her loose in here and see how she talks with all the others in here. But you have to take her back because she would probably cause a little bit more of a disruption here than
yeah, Annabelle is pretty dangerous. She's already hurt a couple people with car accidents. So
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. The idea that they move them out of the protection of a, for lack of a term, a sanctified place, like see, I'm assuming, and I'm just assuming now, but that the museum, by definition, is way more than just a museum. It is a very powerful, sanctified place that's been done that way to possess these entities. See, nobody knows that unless they're actually dealing with these things. So, yeah, you do. You know. And I'm impressed with that because most people have no clue what it's like to have to deal with it's like having a bunch of, and I don't want to say bad, but like second graders hyped up. They're going in every direction all the time, and each one of them wants attention. It's something. Yeah.
Well, that's like their shadow doll when they had overnight paranormal there. They were doing a fundraiser for Feeding America.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dan opened the shadow doll's case and he knocked out the whole power grid in West Monroe, Connecticut.
Yeah, how'd y'all get him back? I mean,
Wow.
so I'm sure you've had some kind of we'll just say and when I say civilians, I don't mean in any kind of a derogatory thing, but people who are kind of looking from the outside in. How did you control them back in? I mean, that's got to be a trip because see, once we get out of here, I got no control over them. Once they cross the gate, they doing what they want to do. I can't get them back unless they wander back.
It's a lot of prayers, holy water, and binding to get them back there.
Man, yeah. See that don't happen here. If they check out of here, which they can do, they can come and go through different. We'll just say, for lack of a better term, portals here. Then there are several. Some natural, and others are man-made by ceremonial magic, like the dragon table. That whole dragon table thing that's over there is just for making the veil thinner. But I can't imagine what it would be like with a as powerful as those items are. If they got away, hey, you didn't get them back. I'd just be going, okay, let's just see what happens, because I wouldn't be able to do it. And I've been doing this for 50 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they don't, when they travel with them, they bless the vehicle. They put black sheets over them, and when they're traveling, they don't acknowledge the items that they're back there. They just carry on a normal conversation with themselves and just to kind of ignore them that they're back there.
See, it kind of, for me, being and nowhere near the same degree of impressiveness as those things, but it reminds me of that movie, The Possession. You know, like you're carrying the debit box and then you crash and it's on the road and it gets loose and somebody picks it up. I can't imagine. We have here one artifact. We call it the Appalachian Witch Box that I rescued back about that time, and it left the shrine. It's been here for probably 12 to 15 years now, and it left one time to go to a paracon kind of thing up north, probably up around Detroit or somewhere close, and 4 of the elders from the shrine here, actual shrine elders, accompanied it the whole time and didn't let it come out. And when it got let loose up there, it acted a fool with a bunch of people. Started getting. We just brought it back. It hasn't left the premises since. Doesn't mean we're controlling it or we're binding it. You know, whatever entity that may or may not be in that box can come and go as it pleases, but the box itself stays here.
Right.
So the idea of you guys actually taking the vessel that these things are like the Annabelle doll itself and moving it, well, that's
yeah. Dan, he takes her out of the case and moves her to the travel case, and they do a prayer. He's layered in holy water. He's got gloves that got Saint Benedict medals in them. and they soak gloves in holy water when he moves her, and he holds her straight out like this away from his body.
Is he the only one that can actually do that? That's allowed to?
He's the only one that does it.
Yeah, some artifacts, not so much here, because all of the people that come here after a while become, I guess the term would be informal. And informal doesn't mean disrespectful. It just means that you got people like that have been coming here for years and years, and this place to them is as common as going to the Waffle House, so to speak, if you eat out, because they're relaxed. Like you had Matt on there last time, he's been here with some artifacts that when he first come years ago gave him a little bit of off-putting, I guess, at the thing. One of our dolls that was here was trying to mess with him a little bit, and he was gone for a bit. And I think one of his teammates actually became a little ill for whatever reason and has never been back. But now Matt comes pretty regular, him and his wife, and it becomes, just informal. They know they can handle these things. It's kind of like a petting zoo, except we're the animals getting petted. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Yep.
It's kind of like a petting zoo, but they're not the pets we are. Yes.
We had a question for you up here. Let's see. Ellie Stack said, "What would you do if an entity came in to bring harm to you or your home?"
Well, actually, I have things here that have come in. Basically, if you assign, we'll just say an elemental, which would be a very powerful elemental type spirit or entity, whatever that might be. There's been a few that come here that imbalance. Now, as an Omyodo is a craft, and for people who may look up Omyodo in Japanese, it's Japanese magic. Nobody ever knew about it for years and years and years, but here recently there has been a anime, I guess the cartoons about that kind of thing, and so there's Omyodo and video games now about Omyodo. That's not exactly what it is. It kind of sort of is, but kind of not. So it's about halfway right, and the other half's just made up. So I wouldn't suggest watching Omyodo cartoons and then start doing those spells. It's like making a cake and not having all the recipe. Not look like a cake, but it's gonna be a cake. It's going to taste bad. So wouldn't recommend that. But how people, when they come in here and I have to move things, kind of like what you would experience in your museum. You literally have to physically move things from one side to the other. We have things upstairs that absolutely will not come down here, and 90% of the people that even come to the shrine ever get to see, because they're not Annabelle class, but damn.
It's intense.
Yeah, you've seen them. They go up there. And Aaron and him and Dee and some of the others, and Audra and them, they actually went up into the most formal room here, the actual center, which, if I was to say myself, which is the most place that is the most going to make the hair stand up, and we'll just call it the Honden is one of the names, the most central part of a shrine. And they never take pictures up there. You can't photograph, you can't video, because that's just disrespectful. But they actually went up there and did well, like I say, I could start talking and talking, but they went up and did a ritual up in there, and they can tell you about the experience. But so how do I deal with it? I move stuff. I put them in timeout as best. Okay, when I put them in timeout, I negotiate. I'm an arbitrator. I go, okay, because I can't make a dark entity or anything do anything. I really can't. I don't believe most people can. You try to trick them.
No, you can't. They don't have to listen to you.
No, they don't. They just agree to say, okay, I'm going to sit over here, but later if I want to come back and blow, they're going to. So I negotiate with them, and I make deals with them. I'm an arbitrator, and I make the deal, and I say, okay, if you'll do this, I'll give you that, whatever this or that is.
Right.
And you try to calm them down to where for the next 6 weeks, 6 months, they don't act a fool. And if not, then they just act a fool, and for any number of pieces. Like I say, today the Seance Society here, the Appalachian Seance Society was here. There may be people that was here that upset the balance of the shrine, that for the next 2 weeks I'll be trying to figure out what happened. Not that it's bad, it's just how it is, like balancing a boat. Like you're the one person I can talk with your family in the museum that actually gets this.
Yep.
Because when you go to a haunted place, it pretty much, unless you're letting people go in there and stir up stuff, which happens here all the time, it's pretty much fixed. You know, you go to a hospital and they say this room has this and this floor has that, and this person's over there running around doing something. Pretty much the same, whether it's residual or however. You start messing around with artifacts and you playing in an entirely different ball game.
Yep.
Entirely.
Yeah.
Because I've done a session with the Shadow Doll. I did a spirit talk session at the Shadow Doll. They brought him out here to Missouri, to the Missouri State Penitentiary last summer, and
see, that just blows my mind that you guys are moving these outside of sanctified areas. It's really kudos, literally. I'm going like, yeah, I'd like to watch, because you know it's going to get somebody. I mean, really, eventually it's going to get somebody out there. You let it loose. So yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, there was a girl there that got overcame by the objects being there, and then the energy of the prison being haunted, and her body started going into shock. She had what they called POTS disease, and
Yep, absolutely.
they thought they were gonna have to call the ambulance for her, and she got out to the lobby, and my dad did some work with her. He put some holy water on his hands, did some prayers with her, and he gave her a cleansing medallion, and she pulled right out of it, and she was fine for the rest of the night.
Nice.
But he's got a white glow that goes around him when he does stuff like that.
Oh yes, there are definitely people that have a particular, and this is just speaking from my opinion. I'm by no means an authority in anything. Just because I outlive most people doesn't mean that I've got it figured out. There are people that have a lighter disposition. Their path in this particular life is more of a bodhisattva type that's protecting people. Unfortunately, I do believe that my is the darker now, because for whatever reason I haven't attained that bodhisattvic approach to things. Oh, I'm totally peaceful, and as they know, is a pretty decent person, but I definitely lean more towards the darker aspects of the practice and all. Not that that's my intent, but being a amyoji of this craft that is martial arts, this place is more possible, able to be able to handle these darker entities that's coming around without it being, you know, so yeah, I'll do it. Most Japanese people go like, nope, not happening. Yeah. Just like there's not people would go into your museum and go sleep. Yeah. So yeah. Talking to a brother by another mother kind of thing. Yeah. Except you guys are way bigger.
We have a question for you. Do you think there is more dark than light there? What is the darkest object you have?
Well, I would say, given the particular here, darker is probably 80%. Not that there's not light here, but it seems to be the zeitgeist of what comes here is that the people who come to this shrine are darker. By definition, I don't want to say darker like evil. That's a construct. It's darker because they're practicing what would be pagan or occult, and occult by definition doesn't mean, like I said, just occult means secret, you know, and pagan means not Abrahamic. So, you know, most people look at that and immediately say, if it's not this, then it's that. And that's a bit of a stretch. So, but I would say here, most of the practitioners, well, most of them wear black. So there's that. And, you know, they're witches. So there's that. And then they're necromancers. So there's that. You know, you don't have too many. There are white witches that do all light work and stuff, and they come, but they still wear black. So I don't know how that works. So darker, yes. And what is the most item that is here? Oddly enough, of all the things that's here, it's that coconut. And the story on the coconut.
It's right behind you, isn't it?
I don't know. It's probably like right.
Yeah, it's like.
Is that it right there?
Yep, that's it right up.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Over here. Yeah, over here. Yeah.
There was back in the early 2000s, probably 2007 or 8, there was a a necromancer practitioner. He practiced really, really dark necromancy. I was amazed at his strengths. He was very good, very powerful. And so I'm watching him, and it's kind of like I'm a martial artist. So you look at another martial artist that's just cranking off kicks and destroying this and that, and you go, dang, this guy's got some game, you know. So this necromancer dude he had some game, and he was also a budding filmmaker. So he started shooting a series, and he started bringing actors in. Now, this was kind of like a version of Dark Shadows, the old black and white thing with Barnabas Collins and the family, kind of a Dark Shadows knockoff. And there was a gentleman come up, and they had this scene in that film that had a voodoo familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, come to find out, after they do the shoot, the guy goes, hey, you want this? I'm going to leave this with you. We'll come to find out he was really a voodoo practitioner, this black gentleman from New Orleans. And the coconut was a effigy of some magnitude, pays respect to Papa Legba, which is what, you know, the gatekeeper to the crossroads kind of thing. You make the deal. And so he left it here. And at the time, I didn't know that he was a real voodoo practitioner, family generational voodoo. It just happened to be real. So after about 4 or 5 years, the story on the coconut back here is it kind of aged, and it got about 10 years old, and it got kind of dark. And I was afraid it was going to like bust open, and then 10-year-old coconut juice was going to come out and smell like a grave or something. So how this story happened, that I learned my lesson, is there's a graveyard right in front of the shrine here. It's not mine, but there's about 80 people over there. I mean, like across the driveway. So I decided I was going to take this coconut out of here before it popped open and reeked the smell. And I built a little altar kind of thing in this graveyard and put it in there. And all of a sudden couldn't sleep, having nightmares. It was something different. Balance was off bad. So I got to asking around, and I'm going, what in the world? And then I started having dreams specifically about Papa Legba. And I'm not a voodoo practitioner, hoodoo practitioner by any stretch, but I'm actually having the dreams about him. And in my dreams, it's the Papa Legba that was on the American Horror Stories Coven thing, you know, that Papa Legba. That's the one that was coming to mind just because that was my idea of him. And it was pretty terrifying. So I finally called up this necromancer, and because he'd been long gone for years, you know, and I said, what's going on? And he said, that's a real voodoo thing. Let me call the guy. They call the guy, and the guy goes, okay, bring him back in. On Thursdays, he gets clear liquor, which is either, you know, some kind of clear, not dark liquor. He's got a shot glass right back there. Mm-hmm. That is kept full, and he gets tobacco. And as long as he's got his tobacco, the weird cigars and the stuff, and he sits right there on the shelf, it's all fine. So he is the one that can, for the smallest item that seems to be able to cause the most horrific aggravation, if he's in any way messed with, that's it. Yeah, the coconut.
Yeah, Matt was saying that, yep, the coconut has a definite feel when you handle it.
Yep. You can touch it. It's not like Annabelle or something that you can't go around. But
right.
if you walk up and you start, you know, like say, Matt's been here for some time now, and they can handle any of the artifacts. But everybody who's in that stage of familiarity with the shrine, they pay respect to these items, because sometimes they got to be moved, they got to be cleaned.
Yeah.
You know how it is. A museum, you just can't leave stuff there forever. You have to handle these things. And I guess it's like a lion trainer. You can go into the cage and work with the lions, but you pay them respect, and you don't turn your back on them, and you keep your things. So yeah, these people move it, a few, not many. And that's the one thing when like Dee and Audra and Aaron and them bring people here, they say don't mess with a coconut.
Yeah, no, don't.
Don't. That's not cool.
Yeah.
There's other stuff here will get you too, but that'll get you quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything voodoo you don't really want to mess with. They know what they're doing, and even when they're dead, they know what they're doing.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah. So So, and I'm sitting here looking across at the Covenstead here, and there's a whole shelf full of poison bottles and different things that's been used for darker ritualistic magic. And, people brought here and go, I don't want to throw this away. Even Jimmy, Jimmy, he brought the Ouija board here that Nathaniel White, the serial killer, had. And every now and then they'll pull that out and use that here. I don't know how that works out. I basically sit outside when they do. I'm not afraid of it. I just try not to interfere with stuff. I'm the gatekeeper, the caretaker. I stay out and let everybody experience what they want as long as they run. Yeah.
Yeah, I stay away from the Ouija boards. I don't mess with them. I do a lot of residential cases involving them, and people do them for the wrong reasons, don't know what they're doing with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a couple here, and some people talking about some that they may want to bring here that they found in something. Ouija is not a practice that is in the Japanese craft. There, it's called a Jaho board, and it's totally different. And I've had one particular Jaho board. Aaron has seen it. It's the one in the room that nobody can go.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
And it's quite a bit larger than that, and it's kind of like a date calendar, I guess, more than anything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's people who come here that want to practice, and the Ouija board, it's all about intent. You can pick up a Ouija board and it not be anything more than a piece of wood. And if you use the wrong intent, and that's where a lot of people make the mistake, is they inadvertently decide they want to try some stuff, and it's F around and find out. Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
Or they don't close it out. They don't know how to physically close it out, and they just leave it open, and then they're just letting everything in and out.
Yep.
And see, that's the thing here at the shrine. Everything is open all the time.
All the time.
All the time. It can come and go as it pleases, as long as it plays by the rule while it's in here. Fine. If it don't, then it upsets things, and we say we negotiate. It's time to go. Well, usually they stay in things, but yeah, here everything is open all the time. Nothing is
held back.
Yeah. That freaks a lot of people out.
Right. Yeah, I bet. I mean, even like my cousin's artifacts too. They've got that Sandy Hook idol doll. That's a big statue, and that thing gives off some real bad, powerful energy.
Yeah, see, and not to be different. The thing I look at a little different, being a darker practitioner and this being a darker thing. There's an old thing, you bask in the light. That's where you learn, but you learn in the darkness.
Yeah.
So literally items like this that are very powerful, most people should stray away from it because they have the wrong mindset, or the conceptual idea that this is going to get them. And if you go in with that, that's like going into a lion cage and going, this lion's going to eat me. They pick up on that. Whereas if you do it correctly, it's not. So, here it is darker. And like I say, I cannot explain this to most people when I talk. You with your family and these artifacts, you just know. And 90% of the other people, they just don't know. There's a whole backside having to deal with this energy. Whether it's entities good or bad, it is energy. So you're talking about that Sandy Hook thing. Yeah, that's ask you some questions. You'll probably get an answer. Now yeah, boy.
Oh yeah. Hunter actually found that in the woods in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and he was out there hunting deer, and then they noticed this statue just sitting up on this big rock. So they called Ed. Ed got it out of there, and as they were bringing it out of there, here comes the guy that was using it for his demonic rituals. It was a Satanist priest, and he was in spirit form, and Ed seen him. And
so he's probably still hanging around it then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not leaving.
And that was in the 70s, I believe, when Ed picked that thing up.
Man, that's back in the day.
Yeah.
I didn't really get cranked up till the 80s. 70s is way back there. Yeah,
they collected a lot of them, and that's Ed's whole thing, because the museum's closed because of zoning issues, because it's in their house.
Right.
Yep.
So Ed wanted these items exposed and the knowledge of them to make people aware of them. So that's why they travel with them and take them out to Paracons and events and stuff
Well,
like that.
and I give him kudos for that on experiencing, because people in, and I don't say that people that are not craft practitioners are not in the know, but with your family and stuff being there that way, there are places all along the earth, everywhere, that have had sentinels and guardians and caretakers and all that stuff for thousands of years. Sacred places in Egypt, the Magi, the different places that are uh, mystical places that have been protected for
Yep.
years and years and years. And what I've found or seem to notice is that since the information age, especially since internet and what have you, is that now people with a phone can do research and find out tons and tons of stuff. Spirits that are, the idea that they need somebody to go, they're here, they're going to be here. Magic is real. People go, magic's not real. Now, there's one member in our group, Amanda, been here forever. She coined the term, and I give her credit for it. She says it's not Harry Potter magic. Magic is real, but it's not Harry Potter magic. You know, wave a wand and
Right.
duck or something pop in on the table. That's Harry Potter magic. That's TV. But magic is real. And with that idea, people are now starting to get just enough information, and they want to know. They really do. I'm not saying that they shouldn't seek this stuff out. Of course they should. They just have to be a little bit careful, because some people have natural gifts, like you and your family, that you have gifts. And if you have a gift, you might get into something a little darker. It's happening. One thing for me that, and I've mentioned other people here, is that, and yes, there are practices in the Japanese to attach non-living things to living things for protection. It's done here, not regularly, but it's done here all the time. People go, wait a minute, you're actually allowing something to possess you. Possess you is a Abrahamic term. It's symbiotic. In other words, both benefit in some way. Father Malachi Martin, not speaking for him, but with Art Bell many, many years ago, used to call that the perfect possession. These are people that are perfectly possessed. They don't manifest in any way, good, bad, or whatever, but they have an entity that is attached to them.
Right.
Now, you can use that on both sides, because someone may say, I have a guardian angel. That's an entity that is attached to them. There's just light. Same way the other, same thing, exactly the same thing. When people go like, wait a minute, it's not the same thing. But
Oh, it is.
on the basic level, it is the same thing. And so with all that darkness going, there was a thing on the internet not too long ago called blood over intent. I don't know if you ever saw that. It's a little thing that somebody called me up, and another practitioner of Omyoto, and he goes, Rick, he said, Rick's on, and he's not Japanese. He's actually Australian, but he called me and he says, check out this YouTube thing called blood over intent. And what it is people were going on YouTube and making blood oaths using kind of a thing and drawing blood. Then blood magic is one of the stronger magic practices. And I'm sitting there watching hundreds of people making blood pacts with, they called them demons. We'll just let that be the case. There were other entities that, and the downside of that is pretty much when you do it, you can't undo it. I mean, you can't.
You're basically making the deal with the devil, and once you make the deal with the devil, he comes calling.
I wouldn't even say it's the devil. He's pretty much a player if he even exists in that way. He's designed, but you're definitely making a deal with something that wants to be with a human. And that kind of thing is done everywhere. The Magi, all the different places, these protectors that protect these ancient sites, they actually all, well, I can't say, they all kind of have help.
Yep.
From the other side. It's not just because you have to. You kind of have to. Now, most people will use it. Some use the light. Some call it this religion, that religion, this practice, that practice. And I'm guessing, and I'm not speaking for you, but in your So you guys got all these artifacts. People just don't know. You've got to have help controlling them. You do. So you say you have priests there and different things that are, yeah, you have to, because they're not human. You ain't make anything do anything you tell it to go do. That's not going to happen. You can say get back in the box, they'll just laugh at you. You know that.
Yep.
So yeah, this place is it's dark. That's why it's not for the
Novice.
weekend novice come in here and look around, because one of them might come in and go, oh, I really want to feel what it would be like to be kind of a little bit possessed, for lack of a better term. Well, I don't like to possessed, but I want to feel what it would feel like to have a spirit on me, and all religions love having the spirit on them. Some churches, they get the spirit quick, and they start talking and grabbing, I don't pick on nobody, but they get with it quick. And we try to keep that from happening here, because you jump in this place and start acting a fool, something will get you.
You know what you're gonna get. Mm-hmm.
I've seen possession. I've worked a possession case before, and it's not fun when somebody's possessed.
Yeah, and you can't unpossess them. What you can basically do is in my opinion, is you negotiate with whatever's in there to leave. You threaten, you go, and it finally goes, it's not worth me being here for you aggravating me constantly. So I'm just going to find something else. And they leave. And I personally think most of them come back, later, just in a less violent way. Possessed people, well, not say possessed, attached people are different. And they're all over the place. They are everywhere. Yep.
That's even your dolls too, when they got that demonic entity.
Oh yeah.
Dolls, because a doll is like a happy vessel for somebody to play with and hold. So you hold it up here.
Oh, absolutely.
Go.
Yeah, they'll if they don't want to ride on you the whole time they're there, they'll just jump in a doll, and they'll, like your museum, then they'll wait for somebody to come around, and in that mind, that person's going, boy, I would really like to experience something. And they go, hey, I like you, you like me, let's talk, let's dance for a minute. And next thing you know, they jump on them, and then the person's wasn't ready for it. And then so they start acting a fool, and they don't, half of them act stupid and the other half get terrified. So then you got to have somebody in there go, okay, we got to work this out. You make a deal with whatever jumped in them to go back in the doll, and you offer to give it something, whatever it is it wants. Yeah. And then the person leaves and goes, I was possessed for 15 minutes. And I've had it here. The one job that I have here is one of them is I watch people, and you can tell when somebody starts getting close to interacting intimately. I don't mean intimately like that, but I mean specifically with an entity that's over there, because they'll start to be touched and what have you, kind of like in any place. And all of a sudden their personality change. I mean, just in a click, and you go, whoa, that's you, but you're acting weird. And so, and Audrey and Aaron and all have been here a few times, and you watch them. And if it gets too intense, because it's in the shrine here. Now, I can't say that I could go across town and make anything leave anything. That's not my skill set. Here, as the caretaker for this shrine in this place, in this bubble, I can negotiate with my counterpart on the other side and say, we need to back this off of this person. You take care of your side. I'll take care of the physical girl or guy, and I'll take him over here and make him calm, and you take care of what's attaching, and we split them apart. And most of those people never come back ever. They go like, oh my God. Yeah. So, but other people, oddly enough, kind of look forward to that. Your people that are channelers or mediums or something that come in with skills, they have the ability to converse with the other side, which I do not have. They come here for the specific reason of doing that. And most of the time, the things that want to jump on people don't want to talk to somebody that knows what's going on. They want to trick up somebody new. They want to jump on somebody in the battalion. Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen them when it does. It's really messed up when it does it, because like the one case that we worked for, this lady, she actually had past trauma, and she had this demonic entity in her house. and it would jump to her, show us what it can do, and then back off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, when it did it, her eyes rolled in the back of her head, and "It's mine, I don't want it to leave," and then an
Yep.
upside down cross gets scratched in the side of her neck while we're standing there holding her hands.
Damn. Oh crap.
Here it's well, I can't say we've not had a unattached or an unwanted attachment. It happens sometimes. Most of the people coming here, oddly enough, are looking for that attachment. It's just like, and I qualify that because I like to get out in front of some stuff. The shrine is starting to become a bit more known due to stuff, and 99% of the people are going to think this is an open pit to the devil, and they just don't. We practice all this stuff. They just would say, y'all a bunch of heathen devil worshippers or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just think
No,
that.
it's not. It's not. It's
No,
not
not at all.
that. No.
You know, if somebody picks up and does, you know, everybody's got the little tools, the ghost apps and tools and things. You're doing the same thing. I mean, you know, I say, wait a minute, you're sitting here asking, knock 3 times, you know, or something. It's the same thing as if you're sitting here doing more formal. I'd like to meet you. The difference here is we know the more formal, traditional way to do it, the older way. Instead of that, but everybody who walks around with one of those things, you know, and I get tickled them because they're the one, they'll be some of the first to look at you and go, you playing with the demon, and you go, you do know what you got right there is exactly the same thing without knowing what you're doing.
Yep.
And that freaks a lot of people out. You know?
Yeah, but it's the truth.
You'll probably get some people call in and go, that guy's an idiot. But yeah, they're doing the
No,
same thing.
it is true. I mean,
It's the truth.
Yeah. And it's coming out. I think what they talk about is dark tourism is a $1 billion industry now. You know, all the places across the world, and people are, and I think this is a good thing. People are not embracing. I'm not saying that, but they are opening themselves to the opportunity of understanding the darker side. And in doing that, you understand balance. You cannot have balance. You have equal stuff on each direction. The most religious person, good person, has the potential to be very violent. That's just a myoto. And a lot of the younger people, which I find amazing. I grew up in a time when none of this practice could be done. This shrine could not have existed like it is 20 years ago. It would have been caused too much turmoil. Now, thanks to people, young people, not like me, that are pushing the envelope and coming out and going is changing some stuff. And I respect that a lot. I see all these young people here, and they're claiming their power. They're claiming their strengths. Yes. Is it magic? Yes. Is it a particular religion? Not necessarily. It might not be a particular religion, but they're playing. And that's what this place does. We let them come in here and say, be respectful to the people, be respectful to the commie, and we'll let you play. And that flips 95% of the people out. They absolutely come unglued. Then they start that you have no idea what you're doing. You have no, yeah. Then that's okay. You know, I'm fine. They can yell.
Yeah, it's all intentions. Is how you set your intentions for it. Is how your outcome is going to be. If your intentions are bad, you're going to receive something bad.
And it's going to go. And you know, I've alluded a couple of times, and I will tell you this because I told the shrine members that hear some of the elders and a few things I was going to talk about this on this because I really do. Is the reason I do not have the abilities that other people have about seeing things. You know, when I say that I don't see spirit, I don't do this, I don't. In 1985, when I went through the particular ritual to become what, for lack of a term, specific term, is a gatekeeper. My whole purpose, I'm not the smartest thing around. I own this and always have. Magic is real. My entire job and thing is to take people such as yourself or other people who are seeking to meet kami, and then I help kami that are wanting to meet people get together. And once they get together, they can have whatever experience they want. So you say, wait a minute, sounds to me like you're helping people get possessed. Well, if that's what you're calling it, then that's what you're calling it. It's not what it is, but it is an interaction. I try to balance that off by saying, if you, this will probably upset 90% of your people. If you're in these contracts or these agreements or these things that people do, and everybody's saying is with the darker sides.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a child or a relative that's in the hospital that is in dire need of staying alive, how many people will get down on their knees or whatever and go to whatever they're worshiping and say, if you do this, I will do that. If you'll protect everybody,
Right.
This is prayer. It's a prayer they have. I mean, the whole groups will get together and pray. Same thing. Now they will go, wait a minute. It's not the same thing. You playing for the different team. It's exactly the same thing. It's just, it's a different team, but they immediately assume that the team's the bad team. Just a different team. They're wearing a green jersey instead of that. So all of the pagan stuff that's here, that happens. And with me, to go back to that story, in 85, when I was made an Amyoji, a gatekeeper, there's a ritual that's done in Buddhism, and I'm not going to say which one, but it's one of the more martial arty Buddhist sects, and they do a thing that's called closing the third eye. You may have heard of that ritual.
Yep.
And I had 3 particular priests. One was a Taoist, one was a Shintoist, and one was a Buddhist. And they went through the ritual with me, and I willingly accepted this to close my third eye. The reason that is if you are a gatekeeper, for lack of a better terms, everybody has fears that they're afraid of, something that would scare them. So if I'm sitting here introducing people to the other side, I'm thinning this veil, I'm opening a door, a gate, I'm unlocking a gate, and something really spooky come out of there that scared me on the other side, and I saw it, I might slam the gate back and go, whoa, that's too bad, too scary, whatever. I don't see any of that. I know very little about a lot of things. People who come here have taught me so much. That's why I open up, that I know so much. And age has nothing to do with it. I've seen young people take an affirmation and an altar cloth and a candle and do some amazing magic.
Right.
And most of them practice by themselves, and I understand that. But I don't see that. And so when all these things come through, that's why I call teams. That's why I have people come in. People will come in here and they'll say, Rick, there's a thing standing right there. And I'll go, where? Because I can't see it. And they'll go, it's right there. And I'll say, what's it look like? And the reason I say that is they'll go, well, it looks like this. And then Erin will know because she's seen it. Then I go get a book. It's a very old book, and it's a book of demons. And I open the book and I say, which one does it look like? Now, am I telling the truth, right?
No, you're telling 100% the truth.
So I'll open it up and I'll say, which one is it? And they'll say, it looks like this one. And then I'll go, okay, now I know how to appease that one and make a deal so it'll quick act the fool.
Yeah.
Right. So some people listening, some of the more religious people, they're going like, oh my God. But so that's how it is. And it happens here all the time.
Yeah.
So, I deal with that. And yes, I do have attachments. The fact that I am unable to see these things, each one of those priests gave me an attachment to protect me from things that are a little rough.
Right.
And I've a few people that know will I walk in and people that I have known, they'll look right at me while we walk by and they go, you have 3 dark entities following you. And I'll go, what do they look like? I want to know if they're mine or somebody else following me, and it kind of trips them out. And they go, well, one's tall and one, okay, they're supposed to be there. They got my back. But this place is that place. And
I think it's one of the most amazing places because it does have darkness there. A lot of locations shy away from darkness. The Ura Shrine does not, because it is a part of the shrine. There's balance. Rick keeps it as balanced as possible at all times. So it has light and dark. It's amazing.
You bask in the light, you learn in the dark.
Yes.
Now some people go like, I don't want to learn that lesson. Okay, that's fine. You bask in the light. When you're in the light, you relax, you enjoy your accomplishments. When you're in the dark, you learning lessons. Absolutely. Yep, you are.
Or like people like me, we have to know the dark for like when we do residential cases dealing with darker stuff. You have
Oh, absolutely.
to combat it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you probably, I would assume from listening to some of your other stuff, you have gifts. You're empathic or however you go. So you interact with them. See, I can't do that. And I actually do not go as Aaron and some of the go. I never go on paranormal excursions with groups. When groups are here, I'm outside for the most time. I don't go around with them. The reason for that being is that the particular attachments that was given to me have a tendency to shut down stuff when I'm around. So not that I'm any kind of special person by any stretch, but the people that are following me, if I went into a haunted place, whatever's in them, I go, oh, damn, look at that. And they'll be quiet. They won't do nothing until I leave, and then they act a fool. And all the people here will say, Rick, after you leave, stuff starts happening. So for the most part, when the dragon table and people are doing a seance or what have you, I never sit at the table. I'll leave the room, or I'll sit in the back, or I'll go in the grotto, or I'll go outside. Because if I'm in there, my attachments are in there as well. And that kind of puts a damper on things. Because they go like, yeah, we can't act fool because Rick's only going to smack them down or something. You know?
Greg had a question for you. Do they ever try to trick you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Here's one thing on my opinion on that. When we were here, and like I say, the Appalachian Seance Society was here today, and they had a seance. Now, this is my interpretation. I by no means want to tell people other. But if you are in a seance with a group in a place that is not specifically unique to you, and your grandmother comes through and starts talking to you, it is my belief that that's not your grandmother. Right. That is something that is reading your thoughts or whatever, and they're acting as your grandmother or other person to interact with you. Now, that's not saying that can't happen. If you go to a place with a skilled medium, yes, they can make that connection for you. I don't see it happening as much in a group over the years and years. It's my belief that if your grandmother is going to visit you and give you a message, they're going to show up in your bedroom, and it'll be you and your grandmother, and she will talk to you, and you'll get the message across. It's not going to be in a big formal situation. Now, it could be. I'm not saying that people who bring those people, no, there are skilled mediums and empaths that make that connection for people. Yes. And if that's the case, it happens. If you in an auditorium, I'm thinking they're playing. So yes, they will trick you. They'll act like they're going to be your friend and not. One thing you can expect, or I would think, is that if an entity is trying to attach to you, it finds something that you are doing that it wants to experience. Now, in the culture here, they don't have bodies like we have bodies. They have different senses through different vibrations. They're different creatures. They may not be they're not human, never been human, never will be human. There's something else. When they attach to a human, most of these things from my training, they want to experience human pleasure, pain, food, sex, intimacy, power, excitement, anguish. Some feed on pain. What you would call the more darker ones, they want you to be in pain and what have you. And they literally feed on that. They actually do. So that's why you have to be careful when you're doing these blood over intent things is, this thing wants, you're basically asking that spirit for protection from the spirit realm. That's their job. They're your Rottweiler walking beside you that nobody else can see. And that Rottweiler, if you are one of these perfectly possessed people and you've got a trained Rottweiler, and when I say trained, they probably train you more than you know, but it's a symbiosis. If somebody coming towards you is smiling and shaking your hand, but they have bad thoughts towards you, that will realize it and it will keep them people away from you. That's the whole protection thing. But they will trick you. So yes, you have to be careful with the music you're playing, because you're going to have to dance to that music.
Right.
There are things that will get you and they will trick you. And the more sensitive you are to seeing that, and a lot of people have that ability, you got to watch out because they'll trick you. They'll say, hey, you do this, I'll do that. and we're just going to have a good time. And that's not always the case, as you would know more. You would try to fix it, or your people do whatever. Me, I just negotiate, I arbitrate, and say, okay, you're here, you're acting a fool. We'll give you somebody else, or something. Somebody else will want you to trade something, but you can't make them leave. I don't have the ability, and have never been taught the ability to make an entity leave a living person. That you can't do that. You can convince them to go, which is a negotiation, but you can't say you got to go. Some people can. I'm not saying everybody. Some people have that kind of juice. I don't.
Yeah, that's where you get clergy involved for that.
Yeah, you got to get somebody that's on a different level of things to actually go in and do that. And for every level of clergy on the right, there's a level of non-clergy on the left that's just as powerful. So, a lesser, darker entity, you can run off just by scaring. Something that's juiced up and really a player, you're going to have something equally as powerful on the other side, or you're not going to win. Yeah.
Yep.
You know that.
Yep.
Well, that case I was telling you about earlier, it took 6 months to actually get that one back to normal.
Man, there was some negotiating going on.
Oh yeah, we had to keep going back and doing.
Did it get somebody else, or did it leave, or is it still hanging out and just not being a thing?
It left.
So it did leave.
Yep, it left. The whole family's back to normal. Everything's got a normal life again.
You do know it just went and got somebody else. I mean, literally, they don't leave. Once it's like a lion that starts eating people. Once they like the taste or something, they don't leave. They just go to the next person and get them.
But we're always around. We're like family to them now, so we go over to their house and visit. We're there for holidays, and so it knows not to come back because we're still there.
Oh yeah. It's like these generational curses that come out. Some of the stuff here is probably from generational stuff where somebody in the past did something bad to somebody else, and that person was connected to something, and it causes I think that's how haunted houses kind of stuff happens. It's a generational kind of thing, and just don't go away. It just waits for the next person to come in and jump on them. Yeah. It does.
And another good example is like a case we worked in Oklahoma. A guy was doing demonic worshiping in his house, and he had a book on witchcraft on how to sacrifice and kill people, and he was using a Buddhist sing bowl for demonic practices, and he had 2 little kids in the house. And I got to see that entity first off, face to face, when it came and ran after me and scratched me down my arm.
Whoa. See, I'm lucky not to have to deal with that here because everything else is in control. But once again, I do not practice any of the darker arts outside it. Well, I have for specific cases, but I just don't. I'm inside the shrine. I'm inside this bubble. So I deal with all these things, but they can't really do much to me, and they can't really do much to people while they're here. But people who do come here, when they leave, most of them do whatever ritual it is with them to not have whatever follow them.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing's locked in here. Nothing is bound at all to this shrine. There's things that come in one side and go right out the front gate because this is the easy. And that's what makes most people that know this go, this is kind of irresponsible because you're letting things come through and just keep going. They're going to do it anyway. There's places all over here that can happen to do that. To come here, they got to play by rules here. Once they leave, and not so much.
Yeah, so they don't. And he actually started back up again and tried to kill his girlfriend. So,
there's some stuff out there that definitely not something you want to deal with. It's like it's like a path. If you go through the woods and there's a path there, and this is just an analogy, and people walk on that path every day, animals that might be curious about people, say a wolf, and it looks at the people go by, but it's just curious. There are wolves that don't want to know people. So if you get off of that path and you go deep enough into the woods, you can find something that's going to eat you. People who get into this kind of thing, they start playing They start playing a little bit off the path, getting books and stuff, and they start dialing it up. They done jumped off of the path and they're done walked into some wolf lair.
Yep.
And the wolves don't like people. And when you go there, you got to deal with it. So yeah, when that happens, it's kind of like watching I'm going to probably say something, but like watching a crazy fat kid get on a mountain bike at the top of a hill. And he says, watch this, I'm going to ride off. And you can't talk him out of it. You just kind of go, this ain't going to end well, but I'm going to watch just to see where he hits the rock or the house. And then once he does, you go down and pick him up and go, okay, you're not going to do that again, are you? You've done it. I mean, not you've done it, but you see people that they pick up the Ouija board and they go, hey, it's like the fat kid. And I'm not saying that to be disparaging. I'm a big boy, so I can call it. They jump on the bike and they take off down the hill and you go, you're going to wreck. But they go, I'm going to do it anyway. So you just go, is it going to hit the rock or the house or the fence or the ditch? And when it was the ditch, let's go get him up and dust him off. So yeah, it happens.
Yep.
Yeah. A little humor in all this strenuous dark things we're talking about. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it brings a sense of humor to it, keeps them at bay too I know my house is haunted, and if I don't acknowledge the spirits in their house when I'm doing like a podcast or something, it'll start cutting my audio and stuff out.
Well, in Japan, and this is my interpretation again, because I cannot speak for any other group, much less than any other individual. They say in the ritual and in the upstairs thing where Aaron has been, the most sacred room of the shrine here is a flag that come out of a
beautiful
palace in Ueda, Japan prefecture, and it says fear and respect, and you fear and respect the gods. Now, when the Japanese say, if you go to Shinto, and Shinto is the practice of 8 million gods, everybody goes, wait a minute, how can there be 8 million gods? It's a misinterpretation of the word God. And I can't speak for them because there'll be somebody calling and go, that's not what we mean. And that's okay. Everybody's got their opinion, even sitting in the same pew of church. Everybody's got their own opinion. But when they say God, they don't mean creator God like the guy who created something. They mean God like an essence. So a tree has an essence of value. A rock has an essence. A river has an essence. And when you value that, you treat it well. But when it comes to respecting kami, it says fear and respect. In most religions, you fear the gods because if you don't do what they say, they beat you up in some way. You do this, you get that. It's a this for that. Most religions are 3 words simple. Do this, you get that. You do this for that. If you do this, you get that, whatever that is, depending on your religion. And if you don't do this, and you really get that. And that is usually some type of punishment, whether it's eternal or whatever. Each religion's its own. Well, in the Japanese, it's not. You fear and respect. You pay respect to the kami, the spirits, the ones you encounter, because if you don't, they just ignore you. The fear is not for some type of retribution or punishment. It's just to be ignored. They just don't even look your way. So when you're talking about why I brought this up is when you talk about your spirits in your house that you don't pray to them, you don't worship them. That's stupid. Nobody would do that. But what you do is you show them respect, you acknowledge them, and for that they acknowledge you back, and there's this symbiotic thing and they act fine. They just don't.
There's a balance.
Yeah, exactly. So that happens a lot to different people and gifted people, whether they be witches or druids or Nordics or necromancers or Satanists or whatever. They just pay respects. And that makes a lot of people come unhinged. They really do. They come unglued. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, you playing on the dark side. And so, yes, here it's like swimming in the deep end of the pool in the dark. You don't know what's around you and you don't know what's under you. You just tread in water until something walks up and taps you, either high, low, or something.
Oh, yeah.
But you learn in the dark. You learn lessons in the dark. Some of them tough, some of them good.
You sure do.
You learn in the dark.
Yeah.
Yep. I've learned in the dark. I mean, I've been thrown, I've been hit, I've been scratched.
Oh, yeah. That's where you learn the lessons. Some of them you go like, I'm not getting on the bike and running down the hill again because I'll end up in the ditch. And yeah, you know, you hate to make it that simple, but it kind of is. You know, some people go snatch up something in a doll and they start conjuring, and you ring that bell, something will come. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we had a guy do that. He started getting into the witchcraft, researching it on the internet, and he started getting into the darker stuff. Well, he sent me some videos before he called us out. He had a hellhound in his backyard, right at his back porch. Now his yard's fenced in, so no dogs could get in there. And this was a black dog with red eyes. We went there and we started doing a spirit box session in his bedroom, and we were getting demonic chanting, mocking church music, Latin talking, laughing at us. Turn the other spirit box on, that one's acting perfectly normal.
Well, yeah. See, this may be off-putting or a little bit different, but there have been a few occasions when I have gone out like you do to somebody that goes, hey, Rick, you know this, can you come and help with this person? And when I walk into a place, and this is different, some people say they try to banish, what have you. I've been to places where entities were not being the best with people that didn't deserve it because they asked for it or something.
Right.
And when I go in, I don't say, probably shouldn't say this. I don't say you got to leave. I walk in and I say, hey, you messing with this person. I got a better place. Come to the shrine, hang out with us. There's dozens of people there that will dance with you every night.
Right.
And it's cool. And when we have a thing here called, it's called Feast with the Beast, where you ritually eat stuff and invite those to taste what you taste. And you know you're being talked with them because I hate sardines. And so when I'm sitting there and all of a sudden you start craving sardines, you go, yeah, something's wanting me to eat.
Yeah, something's different here.
Strange. So yeah, when most places go, and I'll walk in and I'll have my little items, and I'll say, hey, leave this person alone, come back to the shrine, because they can go there. You know, time and space is
Right.
they can be anywhere in a second. You know, they don't have to hike it. And I say, here's the shrine, take a look, come on in. I'll give you a corner. You can hang out in this doll. You can hang out in this jar. And when people come in, and if they want to leave, they can go back. You know, I don't control them here.
Right.
So, yeah, people look at you like you've absolutely lost your mind. Walk into a place and go, hey, I got a cooler place for you to come out. It's right here. You know, read my thoughts, your thoughts, come over, pick a spot. I'll build you a little altar and you can hang out there and leave these people alone. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is good because you're keeping them at one confined spot right there where they have other people.
They don't have to stay, though. That's the thing.
They don't have to stay. See, that's the thing. I'm not keeping them here. I have to entertain them. Right. So they can leave. The deal is, once again, I'm an arbitrator, negotiator. I don't say something can't go back because they're going to do what they're going to do. I just try to make it nicer to be here than over there.
But they also got ones that they can relate to that are already there. So
yeah, exactly. The other spirits are going, quit acting a fool. Yeah, you know, you're gonna mess it up for all of us here or something. Now, have things come here that were bad and left and went and stayed? Absolutely, I'm sure. You know, that happens. There's no controlling that. But my little section of the world here that I guess is, well, like I say, the reason we're talking tonight is that I was trying to get in front of some of the stuff because I'm pretty much outspoken now that I've got old enough to not be fired from my law enforcement job because you practice stuff. You know, you're retired and, you know, so nobody gonna fire me. I already get my check, so they can't stop it. You know, so I'm a little more outspoken and yeah, some people, but see, this is why I don't talk to very many people on podcast, but like I say, you've been there.
Yep.
So, you know, you're like, yeah, I know what you talk about. And there's some stuff that we probably could talk about off the thing that say, yeah, I was at this place and I did this, because some people go like, oh my God, he did what? You know, Yeah, but you can't talk about because people then think you're, Satan himself or something. And, then there'd be that. But it appears that, like I say, that your family has been involved in this way more than before it became cool.
Yeah, my cousin started in 1952, so
Well, I grew up in a house that had my mom was a practitioner of the Golden Dawn back in the 50s, and that was before anybody knew about it. The Thelema, Aleister Crowley, a few things, and so there was a little bit on the dark stuff. Even when I was a kid, I was drawing sigils on the wall when everybody else was drawing ducks. I didn't know what I was doing, but I'd seen them, so I was drawing them. So I've been involved in this my entire life, but you didn't talk about it. You just had to deal with it. Then you got people like your relatives yourself that started dealing with it. And now all of a sudden, once again, thanks to the information age, and I think that's a good thing in some ways and bad in another, people can look this up. And that's why dark tourism's $1 billion industry, because everybody's going, hey, I want to go and get scared. Probably better just to go get on a roller coaster and not tie the seatbelt down if you want to scare yourself than to dance in these places, because something will get you. Oh, yeah, they'll dance with you. Yeah, walk into a place, it's F around and find out. You will. And then they'll be calling people like you. See, they call me and I won't leave. I just go, if you got a video of the bike wreck, because I want to see if he went over the handlebars, because you can't fix it, and you go like, damn, that's going to leave a scar. And I send them to people like you and go, they'll help. But I'll stay here.
Greg asked, what's so bad about losing your mind?
What's this now? Greg says, what's so bad about losing your mind? You mean your mind like cognitive reasoning or just like having fun? Losing your mind. If you are possessed to the point that your cognitive reasoning is no longer yours, then if that's what he's meaning, then that's a bad thing. You've got a high level possession and they're trying to interact with you as merely just a meat suit. That can be a little bit there. Other than that, people who come here, and this is controversy too. Why do people take hallucinogenics, the drugs that are so popular? Because they want to be out of their mind a little bit. They lose the pattern that their mind is in. So you can do that with the paranormal. You can do that with the other side without ever taking a pill. Now, woe be to you if you take the pill and start chemically moving your mind around, and then you do the ritual and you find yourself in the wolf pack den and you don't know how you got there, how to get out. That's bad. That's when you messed up big time. That's when you find people. So if that's what he means, losing your mind, you don't want to do that. We have people who come here who interact with Kami on a regular thing. See, I don't know whether he's talking about the Western or the Asian part of the mind. No mind. It's Mushin. It's a different thing. So he'd have to ask a better question so that I know specifically what he's talking about. But yeah, losing your cognitive reasoning to another being is bad because you're not in control. You're a puppet.
You're out of control.
You're a meat puppet. And you don't want to do that. No.
Yeah, that's like that case of Arnie Johnson where he challenged the demonic entity that was in that little boy, and he got possessed and ended up killing somebody.
Instigating. I'm not a fan of that. I had one individual come here who literally says, I'm an instigator. That's how I investigate. And he started calling out and doing this stuff. And he got his ass handed to him here. So he got handed to him. And it messed him up bad. So you don't want to pick a fight. I mean, you can run into any part of any city that's bad and or pick a fight, and somebody will jump out and give you one. It's the same way in the paranormal. You run into dark alleys and you start trying to pick a fight, something will step out and say, let's party. And the ones that do it ain't afraid of it. The idea of fear is not. No, they're not afraid of it.
I don't condone that provoking.
Yeah,
people want to provoke a demonic entity to it.
I don't want to provoke any of them because they can turn on it pretty quick. I'm a negotiator. I'm not a defender. Now I will fight if I have to, if something attacks and done. And I've had a few things that tried to scare me. And I once told one that I was going to burn the shrine down because it was going to run me off. And I said, well, if you're so powerful that you're going to run me off, I'm lighting this place on fire. As I leave, ain't nobody gonna live here. seriously,
No, I know you're being serious.
No, I
you're being
was serious.
It was just,
Yeah, no, I was
yeah,
dead
no, you're
serious.
being dead serious. No, I
I
know
mean,
that.
I don't. If no, watch tomorrow, the house catch on fire, and the insurance company think I did it. Uh, no, uh, but yeah. So if that's what he means, losing the mind, yeah, that's bad. You don't want to do. You want to be conscious on what you're doing. Watch yourself as you walk in to these confrontations, so that you know the path back out.
Yep.
And if you get in too deep, it's like say, it's like you get off of the path and you start walking into the woods and you find yourself in a wolf's lair that don't want people around. You've messed around and you're gonna find out. You need to turn around and back yourself out of the same path. If you don't know how you got in, you don't know how you're going to get out. That's bad. That's when people make really bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I even tell new investigators that want to get into this field. Start with the small stuff. Do not provoke. Be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Then gradually work yourself up to the bigger, more darker stuff if you're wanting to get involved.
Exactly. It's the same thing we had with Aaron and all of them here. Is this is not a place for beginner teams.
Definitely not.
Now, Aaron and them may bring some beginners in that want to experience the shrine because of the shrine's evolving place in this world, whatever that is, I don't know. Then that's different. But just like walking in here and striking up a conversation or doing something with nobody, with no supervision, yeah, that's the fat kid on the bike. It's
if they're new to this, or novice at investigating, they'll have us with them, just for the simple fact that they might make a mistake.
Yeah,
they don't mean to make, and they can't take back.
And it's like in the grotto here, the cave, it's all concrete. And if something scares you in there and you start running, you trip and fall, you want to tear a pound of flesh off before you hit the ground, because everything's sharp in there. So, yeah. Oh, wait, what's the picture? What did he say on here? Picking a fight.
Picking a fight is what I'm talking about, because I know some that do just what you just mentioned, not me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you pick a fight, you better be ready for a fight. And they don't lose because they'll bring help they'll bring help.
Oh, yeah.
If you tag on to one and you whooping him pretty good and you sitting there, he'll just break his buddy, because that's one thing that Wolfpack likes to do. They'll jump on you. And the best thing is to make a deal. It's like in a joking way, if the wolf's after you, trip somebody else so to get them and run off. It's like the old joke, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the other guy. Yeah. That way. Yeah, it really is. If you're down there. Yeah. And I don't mean to make light of it, because I'm not at all trying to say that this stuff is a joke, because it's absolutely not.
No.
But yeah, there are people that, just like he says, you don't provoke. You go in, you make an offering, you're not making a deal. First of all, why are you there? See, that's the first thing. If you find yourself in the situation of, oh my God, what's this? How'd you get there? That's the thing. You didn't just wake up and go brush your teeth and there's a demon standing beside you. That don't usually happen.
Yeah.
You've went somewhere, done something, or bought a book, or you practiced this, or you went on the internet and said, how do I meet a demon that'll help me win the lottery? Geez, you go, what in the world? And then the next thing you know, you're folding up paper and you're writing sigils and you're mailing these things. And the next thing you know, something says, you don't know what you're doing, but we're going to dance. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
And that's where you guys come in and fix them. I sit back and watch them wreck and go, oh, damn, that hurt. And then I go get the demon and say, come on in here, hang out. These people are cool. You don't have to chase them. Yeah.
Yep. We usually just send them out of the house and let them go on their merry way.
Yep. I invite them here. I like them. They like to hang out here. I make the analogy, and I love the movie Constantine that had Keanu Reeves in it. Okay, remember when he went to see the Papa something down there in the club?
Yep.
And when he walked into the club, there were demons and angels together. And he says, not in my club. You have to play by the rules here. That's kind of what a Ura Shrine is. So yeah, everything's here. Yeah. So they come and hang out, and you can drink with the demons, or you can and learn a lesson, or you can bask with the nicer things if they're here, and enjoy the feeling. I have people come here that just love it. They go, I get stressed, I feel terrible. I come and I feel good there. they're not learning lessons. They're basking in the light.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like Matt was saying earlier, he feels at peace when he comes there.
Yeah. Well, once you find out, most people come in and they go like, hey, I'm in the wolf's lair. They're circling me, especially people who can see them and feel them. They go like, oh, what's happening here? I'm about to be, this make me nervous. But after a while, you figure out that they're not going to bother you. You just ignore them. And then there's the peaceful side that goes right along with that. And yeah, these people come here and sit around a fire pit and de-stress, and it has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with anything demonic or, and what I mean by demonic is anything darker. They're not here to learn a lesson. They're here to think. And there's an old saying that the shrine gives you what you need. It's self-aware and it is self-protecting. So if you come here and you've got a lot of stress, say if stress had a value and you're at a 100 value stress, the shrine will take your stress and take you to a 50 where you're balanced, and it'll store that stress. And then the next person come in might be totally depressed and they're at a 0, and it'll give that person the 50 of energy to bring them up. That's what a Ura Shrine is. Now, there are people get in here to mess that all up. I mean, they do. They just get in here and act a fool. Not usually where we see it. They do stuff, then they don't get it. But no, like Matt said and some of the others, it is very peaceful. And that's why I like getting ahead of it. Everybody goes, we've listened to this podcast. This guy's a demonologist. I'm not a demonologist. I don't know that. I'm a Amuji and I'm a Jahoka. I'm a dark practitioner of the arts because I make deals and I play with these entities because that's this kind of place. But all in all, this place is as blissful as you will ever find. Peaceful. Like I say, you're invited to come here. Now, you have gifts. You're going to walk in, you may see stuff running around everywhere. And if you see one, I'm going to show you the demon book and let you point them out to me. Because there's always a new one when new people come. Because these entities follow you around. They just waiting for you to dance with them or talk or acknowledge them. So when you pop in here, something that's been following you for wherever you've been going can show up. And I'll shut up. But that's another thing that happens here. People who engage with a bad entity 10 years ago, halfway across the country, and they banish it, for lack of a better term, the second you step into this shrine, it can be right beside you because your banishment does not work here because it's got an entrance right in the back door. So you don't have to deal with that again. Now, it can't mess with you. It can't cause you grief, but it can be right beside you again. And a lot of people that are in the paranormal that have gifts, they walk in and go, oh, I've not seen that thing in years. And that's because that's the kind of place this is. So yeah, you might dance that when you come in. You might go, wait.
I'm sure it'll recognize me as soon as I walk in the door. It's probably there that I've dealt with in the past.
It may not. It may go like, no, he kicked my butt 2 or 3 times. I'm not going. But if it wants to, it can. Yes. Yeah.
Because the one that threw me into a door was a strong one. So.
Yeah.
I was showing my book. Will you show me a picture of it? I'd like to see because I've got a book. I can't let it be photographed because I told the guy who was it's actually, and nobody can read the information on it. Nobody, all the practitioners, but it's pretty. Every tattoo artist that I've ever known that I've shown the book wants it to start. And I said, I don't believe I'd be tattooing these.
No.
You don't know what it is. These sigils, I don't know what these sigils mean. They're cool looking.
Right.
I don't know what they say. So, you might be giving yourself, no, I wouldn't do that.
Well, that's like when you say the name, you call them forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No, people do stuff. Like I say, I'm a martial artist and I've been around and you see people doing the tattoos that don't know. And we saw a guy come in who was very, very proud of his new tattoo and it said high test gas. That's what it was. He got it wrong. It was, yeah.
Oh, no.
And he was we didn't nobody tell him. My master, he looked at me, he said, that's an odd tattoo. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know what he's trying for it, but that says high test gas. He said, I don't know where he got that. So same way with demons, people put a sigil on their arm and you go, what is that? Yeah, no. You can F around and find out.
Yep. I tell them all the time, you mess with them, you're going to find out real quick.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And like I say, you go and help them. I watch to see if the fat kid's going to end up in the ditch or the fence. I will help people that come here. The shrine does it, but I'm basically a low-level gatekeeper. I know a few things. I know a lot about a couple things. I can open a door for you. You know, I can show you that mirrors are a thing, corners are a thing, doors are a thing, according to my practice. Other people can do it just as well as me and better, older and younger. But I know a few things. But the shrine itself, and it's unique, and
Very special.
and not to try to end nothing, because we'll go as long as you want. I'm very grateful for the fact that you let us come on and get a little bit ahead of explaining this before everybody makes their own opinion, given that there's no videos and documentaries and all this stuff that's coming out, because everybody thinks we're the devil straight up.
Yeah,
And
but
that's okay, because everybody can have their own opinion. But it ain't like that. Kind of is, but not totally.
right. It's kind of taking the stigma off of it.
Well, trying to.
People have the wrong idea about what the shrine is about, and like Rick said, they automatically think it's the devil. It's not like that. So we're taking the stigma off of it, so people can explore it with an open mind, an open heart, and keep the balance as well. You know, don't go to disrespect, don't go to goad, just go to chat.
But it is also the place, and it's like I say, and some of them may be listening. If they do, I've had preachers, ministers, I'm not going to say who, what, where, come in here and ask to have a demon attached to them. So I helped them out. I mean, I said, cool. I just want to see what's going to happen. You know, I go like, really? You talk to them and they go, yeah. I said, I'm a man of this and I do believe this and I want to try that. And you go, seriously. And so if that's a place, yeah, you can come here and get tuned up. But but it's not that place altogether.
No.
Yeah. It's like any place. There's streets you can go to.
Right.
That again? Where is the shrine again? Oh, it's in Bristol, Tennessee. Don't be showing up here just to show up. I live here. You can't get by the gates. The fence is what, 8, 9, 10 feet around?
Yeah.
And I have 2 dogs. Neither one of them would go after you, but they both bark and there's cameras. So yeah, you can't just show up and go. We have people, they think it's a restaurant, but you know, you go out and they'll be sitting there going, where do I order? Literally, it's like, yeah, you've seen pictures, you know, and when you come here, you'll see it's about as far from a restaurant as you'll ever go. And I have people that come around all the time and drive up and down and take pictures in a joking way. 2 of the restaurant pizza things around here will not deliver to the shrine. They say we're not in their area. That's right up the street.
Like less than 2 miles away.
I'm constantly having new meter readers show up to read the meters because they have to go through the witch's gate to get to the meters. And the guys will come in and they'll go, because I'm always have to go out. Not every time. Sometimes they'll pull a couple till something gets them. And and the last one came in and jokingly he goes, where's the place? And I said, it's around there. I said, we got to go through the earth gate. And he goes, what's that? I said, the witch's circle. Might as well just get it out of the way, right? And he went, what? I said, yeah. I said, if you're in Tennessee and the Tri-Cities and you hear about the places where the witches are and the practice, this is the place. And he went, really? So I probably won't see him back. You know, he won't come back. I'll have somebody new again.
Yep.
So when you're here, and once again, you're invited, you can see the earth gate, the witch's circle, from the driveway. So all of the people like the UPS and the FedEx and the Prime, you know, Amazon people, they stop, they come up and then they look at the place and they drop off the package and they go and they stop and they taking pictures. So kind of cool. A lot of them are really, all in all, 90% of the people that come here are very respectful and warm. The people who find this place off-putting just don't show up. Obviously, you wouldn't come in. So all in all, for the most part, it's a good experience here. People like yourself that'll want to show up and visit and be our guest. We hope you'll have a fantastic time here and want to come back, literally. You know, we're not trying to convert anybody to anything. If anybody ever says we want to hire people to follow this path, that's totally bogus. You can't get somebody in here to try to teach you something necessarily off to the side, maybe, but this is not. Everybody goes the cult. There's an old thing they call us the cult on the hill. because we're on a hill. It's a joke with us. We actually, it's a joke, but we're not a cult. You can't join. You can leave whenever you want. Come. You can't. There's no dues. There's none of that. It's
Right.
people who want to experience a place to practice what they want to without someone else saying that's silly.
Right.
That's it. That's all it is.
That's awesome. We got about almost 5 minutes left of the show. If anybody else has got questions, feel free to post them.
I might lose service because we're in the middle of a tornado warning. I'm down in Atlanta right now.
Oh, you're getting that weather that we had
Yeah.
in Missouri last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
South,
supposed to get some weather here, but we'll just have to wait and see. Don't
South
worry.
Missouri down by the Ozarks, they got whacked with a tornado last night. Killed several
Mhm.
people.
Yeah, up in here in the mountains with all this Tennessee Valley and stuff, a tornado's kind of like a pinball machine. That thing can run up and down and sideways and turn around and
Yeah, do
hit
whatever
you
it
in the front
wants.
and just run around and hit you in the back. It's crazy. So luckily I hadn't have it. I've seen one here many years ago go way off. Saw the cloud, not the tornado. So yeah, it's we're lucky. We're on top of a hill. We're by ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, was that Matt saying?
Yep,
Yeah,
Matt's saying
Great
great
show.
stuff.
Yeah.
Matt's the man.
We still got 15 people watching.
He's what now?
We got
We got
15 people watching.
Well, and Matt has some gifts that he's pretty tuned into some stuff. I didn't know when he was first here, first time and how we don't all sit around and pat each other on the back and say we're the A team. You know, a lot of people get together and say we're all this and that, but a lot of people most of the people here are professionals, like Matt, professional in what they do in their careers and everything, and he when he says a few things, pretty much he's on the right path. He's pointing in the right direction. So if he says there's something over there, I don't think I'd go over there right now. I might want to listen, seriously. And other people look at that. So, like I say, you're invited here for that TerraCon. There's going to be some civilians here that have never that have bought tickets to this thing. They're not buying tickets from us. We're hosting it. We're not putting it on. That'll be there. So that could be interesting. That's the first time that there's going to be people here. So we'll be watching him really close. Matt's helping out and all the others. We got to keep eyes so they don't flip out. Because people, they might have took one of those loopy pills before they got here, and then they say, something get them. So we'll keep an eye on that. But like I say, you're welcome to come in, bring whoever you want. We'll show you the place. You'll look around. Only thing you can do for me is if you start seeing stuff, let me pull out the demon book and kind of point out what they are, because I'm curious to see what'll follow you into this place. It'll probably leave with you, but it'll follow you. And I like that because you're kind of, I'm not, you're at a different level. So I've enjoyed this. I have.
And my dad will see things there because he's got abilities as well. So
whomever you want to bring, and if you want to throw Annabelle in the corner and bring her on in here, we'll let her dance around just to see.
They won't. They won't.
I bet not.
Well, if you got something, I know. I was joking there, but that might stir the stuff up in here to where it take me 6 months to calm things back down.
Yeah,
and I don't like to work that hard.
Want Annabelle running around in there.
No.
Yeah.
And we have stuff move. Everybody who's here, chairs move, doors, all that kind of stuff is just kind of normal. It just becomes informal, and you don't worry about it. Yeah, like the ones in your house, you know them.
Yep, they just got a new artifact for their museum at the Warrens Paracon in September. Somebody had a World War I skeleton foot still in the shoe.
Oh, really?
Wow.
And they didn't want it anymore in their house because it started stirring up a bunch of stuff. So they gave it to them to put in the museum.
Wow.
Well, and this is the place. I get it. It's like, Jimmy. Jimmy was talking with me last time. He's dropped off things. He's right here to my right is a 1800 headstone from a African American witch that the owners of the graveyard made move because people were coming there having little witch rituals on it, and the other people got upset and made them move it. So it's here. And last week, Jimmy goes, "Hey, do you want a coffin?" I said, "Sure." So, we set
Wow.
the room up, and there's a coffin here now. I don't know what we're going to do with it. A couple people like to lay in it, I guess. I'm not getting in it. I'm afraid I can't get out. But so, yeah, who knows what somebody will bring. So, yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a picture when he loaded it up.
Oh, yeah. He had to get in the back of his car going down the road. Now, that's some Tennessee stuff right there. When you see a Jeep with a coffin sticking out the back going down the road, I know there were some people go, that fool is probably taking somebody to the graveyard. It's just
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what it is around here. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I grew up in the country around hillbillies and all
Yep.
that. My cousins are hillbillies, and
And if they know Jimmy, they probably believe he really did have a body in it. So, yeah. It was
yeah.
empty, though. He didn't have
Oh,
anybody in it. Oh.
So, how can people get a hold of you if they want to come visit the shrine? And
Well,
They want to come through the Tennessee Shadow Chasers.
yep, call them up. They
Mhm.
they do all that hard work so that I don't have
Mhm.
to, because
Yeah.
to be honest, you can send me a text and I might answer it in 6 months if I remember to go online.
Yeah. So
Really.
they can find us on Facebook under Tennessee Shadow Chasers. We have a beautiful neon ghost. You can see that, as soon as you find our page, and you can just message us through there, or you can hit us up through WhatsApp, or you can send an email to TennesseeShadowChasers@gmail.com.
okay.
Yep.
And there is a Facebook page for the Ura Shrine. People can go on there and look at it and
Yes.
send
Yes.
it. It's a URA Shrine, and it's got some pretty good stuff in there. People we post and all.
Yeah.
So I don't post on it because I'd mess it up, but some of the others they take care of that page pretty good. Yeah.
All right. If you guys want to hang backstage for a minute, I'm going to close the show out.
All right. I'll be right here.
We'll stay right here.
Minute. Thanks, everyone, for joining me tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And we will see you next week. God bless. Stay humble. Stay safe out there. And we will see you again next week. Thank you, everybody, for hanging in strong, all 15 of you. And see you again next week.